Hey, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Ears Up In Depth, where we do all the hard-hitting investigation so you don't have to. And so you don't have to go to, some other weird clickbait site to get a crumb of information.
Oh, they're really pervasive. 9 out of 10 articles on Google News is ITM.
Yeah, it's annoying, man. I've stopped reporting them as like misinformation because it clearly doesn't do anything. But yeah, it's obnoxious. You got to scroll through it. I don't like it.
Their big one today is this Disney theme park is closing for an entire weekend.
Dude.
And it's like, yeah, they close them every winter. They close the water parks every winter when the weather gets cold. Like it gets cold and Florida gets cold. It happens every year. And they close the water parks because it's 50 degrees out.
Sure, no one's gonna go.
But like, it's this Disney theme park.
It's awful.
Just
it's
be
terrible.
like, Disney water parks are closed for the weekend. So annoying. Like, and who's falling for this anymore?
Right. If you have, clearly a lot of people, if you have to trick people to get information to them, then the information you have isn't very good.
Right. It's not worth reporting. Unlike what I'm about to read tonight. This is
God, I can't wait. I don't even know your stories. You never even sent them to me.
Because you sent yours way early in the day, and I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do until this evening. I was working all day, so I just was like, well, I'll just figure it out, and I'll do ones he didn't mention. So
sure, yeah,
they're pretty good.
I was not working all day. I wasn't feeling good, man. So I was like laying on the couch doing some work, but for other shows, and took a nap, watched a soccer game. Alice had we had a thing at Alice's school tonight. It's a disaster. It's like a celebration of fathers or something like that. So it's like pizza with your kid at school. And I'm like, I will never tell my child about this. I do not want to go in that small classroom with literally double the people, grown adult men with bigger lungs. You know what I mean? Sitting there, just breathing. But so then Alice comes home and she's super excited about something. And she's like, can't wait to tell you. I'm like, what is it, dude? And she told me about the thing. And I'm like, oh, cool. How did you know? Oh, they're singing songs. They had songs planned. I'm like, oh.
So it was a little concert.
Yeah, now I have to go. But the thing was about like, oh, what is, come and learn about what your child does during the day. I'm like, we've already had this. Taryn and I had both gone, you schedule a time to sit in the classroom and learn what your child does. So I'm like, fine, but that's why I had to push the start time a little bit. Okay, I asked Alice, are you really looking forward to this? Because I do have a show with Uncle Jeremy, and she's like, yeah, I kind of am. I'm like, okay, well then I'll see if I can push it back, and we'll leave halfway through. There's like pizza at the end, and I'm like, I'm not staying to eat pizza with everybody.
We could have just done it tomorrow.
Well, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's one of those things I should do. But like we get there, parking is atrocious. You have to walk 5 minutes to get there. Anyway, we're sitting there. They're doing the same stuff we did already, where like she's going through her workbook and we're doing math. And I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, why are we doing homework right now? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, why don't you do something? Show me something else. And she goes, well, I am kind of tired. I'm like, did you want to get out of here? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let's go. So we were there for like half an hour. And we left, came home. It was great. I was like, this is my child.
Did you see the songs?
No, they didn't do the songs in time. And I'm like, Alice, do you want to stay for the song? She's like, no, I'll just sing them to you later. I'm like, okay, sounds good to me, man. But so no masks anywhere. It's tiny room. These couple dads sitting next to us were like deep bronchial coughing. Just not covering their mouths, not doing anything, just go like a bass drum. It was awful. It was like vibrating my glasses. I was so uncomfortable. Like a couple times I was like, oh my God, dude. Like right after. I couldn't help it. It was just one of those things, man. I was so uncomfortable doing it.
It is annoying to be around people who cough.
Yeah, it is. And this one dude looked sick. I mean, his eyes were sort of red and droopy, and he looked sweaty, and he's just like sort of pacing near his kid, coughing. Like, dog.
Yeah. I had
go home, stay home.
I had a work appointment this week, one of my appointments that I went to. And the person I was meeting with at this company, I walk in and I'm like, oh, what happened? And she's like, oh, I lost my voice. I was like, okay. And I was like, well, sometimes that happens and you're not sick. You just have like whatever laryngitis. She's like, no, I feel fine. I just lost my voice. But then as the meeting proceeds, she's hacking up a lung, coughing, sniffling, and like, I was just so annoyed that I was like, why did you not And then this person also wasn't prepared for the meeting. And so that annoys me.
That's
regardless.
Even worse, man. Yeah,
so now I'm like,
worse.
This could have been an email. This whole thing could have been me. I came here to meet with you so that you could cough in my face for an hour and a half not have what you're supposed to be presenting me with. So I'm actually calling the principal of the company tomorrow and saying, like, don't have me come there.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like, I'm supposed to go on vacation next week. If my trip gets ruined because this lady was coughing on me, I'm gonna be real pissed.
Oh, I would be too. Yeah, that's rude, man. And it's funny. Before COVID, it was sort of like a source of pride where you come in, so you work through the sickness or whatever, and then COVID sort of made everyone realize how dumb that is. It's okay to be sick. Like my grandma, she prided herself literally up until the day she died. She never called in sick to work. Not once. Never missed a day of work in her entire life. She was like 92 or whatever. I'm like, Grandma, that sounds terrible. That honestly sounds atrocious. You've never missed a day of work ever? No. I think people should blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's cool, man. I have missed several days of work and I don't care. There's no point. Like, who cares? It's okay to be sick. People are realizing that.
You're not a hero, number one, and you think you're being more productive. You're actually hurting the company because you're going to spread your germs around and get 5 people sick, and now they can't potentially work. So actually, it's worse. And also now, you just work from home. Like, it's not like they lose you're not doing it. You're not gaining anything, and you're not losing anything by working from home. We did it for 2 years. You can just do that. It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know,
so I was
man.
Annoyed.
Yeah, it was a big annoying night, man, for everybody. But
We're
I was
just
proud of my kid
annoyed.
for being like, you know what? I don't want to be here. You know what, Alice? Neither do I.
Yeah.
But I left it up to her. It was her choice. And like the song, she's like been singing the song because she does that. That's what she does now. And it's, Bingo, that song, and Bingo was his name. But it's instead of Bingo, it's Daddy.
Daddio.
Yeah, and Daddy was his, and it's stuff like that where it's like, okay, it's very cute, and I can't wait to hear it, but it's fine. It is what it is, man. Let's get into some news, though. Enough about me and my personal life.
Okay.
Actually, I do have some breaking news. Well, not breaking news, but over on an Etsy shop, we have a couple of new items up. One is a dad hat with our
Daddy. What's his name?
That shirt that I had made. It's the Adventureland sign, but it says Tomorrowland instead.
Yeah.
No one bought it. I turned it into a hat. It's an embroidered hat, mainly because
you're expanding the collection.
Yes, right. The collection that no one cares about. It's embroidered, so I want to buy one. So that's why I made it. I was like, well, forget it. I'll just put it up and see if anyone wants it. But then also RGH, his new show Puny Pod.
Sure.
He has some merch up there too. So there's a Puny Pod shirt up for sale now in the Etsy shop, and then also the new dad hat, and of course, all the other stuff we have. So check that out.
It's exciting.
You go first, Jeremy. Tell me a story, please. Please tell me a story.
It's attendance they're losing because guests aren't star cruising.
Short and to the point, but still immaculate in rhyming. I love it.
It seems the force is no longer with Disney's much ballyhooed Galactic Starcruiser, Star Wars themed hotel cruise experience.
What? That's the name?
No, that's just my sentence.
Oh, okay.
It's called Star Wars : as everything is Star Wars : fill in the Galactic Starcruiser.
All right.
This week, guests booked on several voyages for this summer were notified by Disney that the voyages they had been booked on were canceled, and they were being offered different voyage dates instead, only at a 50% discount in order to entice them to rebook rather than just get refunded.
Wow, 50%?
50% to move them.
Oh my
So
God.
Galactic Starcruiser cruises have been canceled for July 4th, 12th, 17th, August 1st, 7th, 15th, 27th, September 4th, and September 12th. That's 9 voyages through the summer, and they're being canceled during what is traditionally crowded peak summer months at Disney World. September, maybe not, but although that's around Labor Day. So
Yeah.
July 4th is one of the most crowded days of the year at Disney World. So you would think that they wouldn't need to be canceling this, super successful Star Wars hotel that's $6,000.
So
But
they're
apparently
canceling them. So they just don't have enough rooms to warrant running the thing.
there's been a couple different things. I guess Disney's official line is that they're doing refurbishments, but like you don't refer. First of all, why do you refurbish things during low season? And why would you need to refurb something that just opened in March? Like it's not even a year old.
Yeah, unless it's breaking.
And
But
like,
that doesn't make any sense either.
how do you know in January that a hotel that you opened in March will need to be refurbished on September 12th? Like, it's like, we're pretty sure. Like, I don't quite get that. And so there's other people who are just speculating that it's because they're not seeing enough bookings, that if it's not booked enough, they're going to try to move it to other cruises and get a higher density.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know why they would do that for September 12th already, because like you'd give it time, it could still book.
Unless it's sold out, maybe it's booked out. I don't know. That's weird. It's very weird, I guess is your point.
Well, and the news comes on the back of recent reports coming out indicating that the Galactic Starcruiser bookings have plummeted in recent months since the March 22 opening, with some voyages reporting attendance at just 25% of the ship's capacity.
God, I mean, that sounds cool. Excuse me. It sounds great from a guest perspective because you get to do all the stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it sounds awful from a cast member perspective. Can you imagine being one of these people and like thinking you have like a role to play in someone's weekend and you're just basically sitting in the wings because there's not enough people to interact with to like, unroll your story.
Well, and not only that, they're cutting back the performers' hours. So not only is it kind of a bummer, but financially they're getting hit because they're not doing 2 performances that night. They're doing 1.
God.
And so they've been cutting cast member hours at the Starcruiser.
Well, and we were talking about this when the whole thing was announced and all the details came out about what it was. You don't want to be in the hotel when there's Disneyland right there. So what do you think people are going to do? Nobody's going to go on a vacation, or apparently not nobody, but most people, I think, aren't going to go on vacation and then stay for 2 days in a hotel doing all the stuff that you can do in the hotel when you have Disneyland right there. It sort of makes no sense. It almost sort of devalues a trip to Disneyland. If you have to have this part of this hotel to sort of, spice your trip up a little bit, I don't know. It sort of makes it sound like Disneyland's not really super bullish on their offerings at the park.
It's meant to cater to a very niche group. I don't think that they realize how small that niche is.
Right.
And it seems like they churned through all the real diehards because it did sell out quite a bit in those first 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And now it's really started to drop off in a big way. There have been reports that dinner services on some voyages have been cut from 2 seatings down to 1. So what they would do is normally passengers in the voyage are split into 2 separate dining services in rotation with other activities. Just like on an ocean voyage, there's the early dinner and then you do the show after, or you do the show first and you do the dinner later. It's the same thing, but the lack of guests has meant that Disney's had to cut back and they're just combining everyone into 1 seating. But this has had the effect on the cast members who aren't getting the tips from the second seating, and they're not being asked to work the second seating. So their hours are getting cut. Their tips are getting cut. This is a problem.
Oh, wow.
It has also been noted that recently Disney has had enough vacancies at the Starcruiser that Disney World hosted a group of travel agents for a free 3-day, 2-night experience to drum up publicity and excitement for the Starcruiser. That just recently happened. And now it seems there has not been enough to get people into the 100-room hotel that costs around $6,000 for a 3-day, 2-night voyage. Disney has had to sweeten the deal even further. This week, Disney, while not discounting the actual price of the Starcruiser experience itself, they have announced that they are discounting adjacent hotel stays as part of Starcruiser packages. So now what they're saying is if you stay before or after at a Disney hotel, they're going to give you a super deep discount on that as long as it's packaged with a Starcruiser stay. So
is that enough, do you think?
Well, let's see. You can stay for a 2-night cruise, attach that to 2 nights at the Grand Floridian Resort, and they will take, you can save up to $700 for that 2 nights. So they're running,
that's it.
You get $350 per night off of the Grand Floridian room, which could be $800. That's a significant saving. The Grand Floridian's expensive, but they never discount that hotel $350 a night.
No.
That's also for the yacht club, by the way. If you want to use Animal Kingdom Lodge, the Boardwalk, the Contemporary, the Polynesian, or Disney's Wilderness Lodge, they'll discount that room $250 a night. By the way, you can get an Animal Kingdom Lodge room for $500 sometimes. So that's $50 off. And also at Coronado Springs, which is the other participating hotel, they'll discount that $150 a night. Coronado Springs can be gotten for $298, $300. So that's $50 off these hotels if you'll stay at the Starcruiser. Is that enough? I don't know, but no one's going to Disney World just for the Starcruiser. So because it's only 2 days or 3 days, 2 nights.
Right.
So you're going to stay somewhere else. Now, maybe you'll stay off property, maybe you go to Universal, but this at least they're leveraging their regular hotel pricing to kind of try to see if that could get some more people in and say, well, you know what? We could save $700. We otherwise would have been going. So it's interesting. This offer is going to be run starting February 5th, which is in a couple of weeks. And that offer is going to go through most voyages all the way through September 30th of this year. So it's quite a long promotion.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just the first look there. They keep inching toward it. They don't want to discount it, right? It's premium. It's a thing, but they're inching toward it. They keep moving closer and closer.
Yeah. I wonder when they're going to start doing giveaways on their social.
Right.
Something like that, like big social promotions like that, maybe over the summer.
A free night at another Disney hotel. Like they could, they have a lot of room to go.
Oh yeah. I don't see that if you're willing to cough up $5,000, what's $700 to you? Who cares? I feel like that's not enough. Like for me, it wouldn't be enough. That's like when companies email me and say, you can save 10% if you sign up, or, you go to a website and it says like spin the wheel and you could win 10% off your purchase. It's not worth my time. If I'm rich enough or wealthy enough, well off enough to just suddenly go, you know what, let's book on the Starcruiser, man. $5,000 plus airfare and all the other stuff that comes with doing the thing. $700. I don't know, man. If I have to jump through hoops, I'm not going to do it.
But I think what they're banking on is there a significant amount of people who are on the line of, oh, gee, this just feels too expensive. We've been saving up. Maybe this is enough to nudge them over and say, okay, let's do it. We won't get this savings. It's only through September. It's all the way through September 30th. But I think they're banking on that. There's this whole other next tier of people that just haven't been able to pull the trigger yet. Maybe this is enough to nudge them.
Yeah, maybe.
And it may not be.
Yeah, but I can't imagine it. I mean, you'll get some of them for sure. And some people are just, they were going to go anyway. So why not just upgrade our, room, stay at the Grand Floridian.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, God bless them. I hope it works. But yeah, this is definitely sort of something that could have been avoided by not doing the thing in the first place. It seems so natural. It's like, you guys they expected way too much. Way too much.
It's almost like they can't pick. It's like they're either going super over the top themed with this, where they don't even, the theming is so strict and it's like that they won't even let you leave it.
Right.
Right. Like they're enforcing the theming so hard that it looks like it kind of sucks, or they're just de-theming all together and doing the West Elm thing that we've been talking about here over at the boardwalk. How about Disney? You had such a good winning formula. Do authentic, immersive theming and just do that right.
Right.
And do that with your hotels and let us go enjoy the parks all day. I don't understand this. Like, they can't seem to, it's either they're swinging the pendulum so far in either direction when they had it such a nice balance of just great themed hotels and wonderful theme parks. They can't seem to do that anymore.
No, and I think part of the problem with the hotel is that it's on the Disney property. It's in, location, obviously, of Disney World Resort. Should have been somewhere else, in another state, another city, somewhere else, a whole other thing where you can have an outdoor experience too, but get it away from the parks, because I think there's too much of a pull. There's too much of that, well, what do we do? Now we have to plan for it. And again, if I had the money to do it, I would be a little stressed out. That's my personality. Well, how long do we do this? Do we do this first? That planning, I don't know. I would opt out.
It's an excellent point, and it's sort of along the lines of what Universal's just been announcing the past couple of weeks, which is these smaller regional theme parks in Texas that are maybe catered to a slightly narrower audience, like this one in Texas that's going to be more like kid themed, but leaves a lot of room for expansion pads so they could add more.
Mm-hmm.
Then they've got that horror one that they're doing in Las Vegas. These are small. It's that sort of like what you're saying. Put that hotel somewhere else and have that be its own destination.
Yeah, and Ryan in chat's like, but then how would you land on Batu? You build Batu somewhere else. You replicate it.
Right. Like, it's not that much.
It's not that much. You can do it. I mean, look how much money they spent on the barges.
Look how much money. Oh my God, exactly.
Got him. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, there should be like a drinking game where anytime someone says barge, I have to like drink Clorox or something.
Speaking of drinking Clorox, I don't know. You were talking about it was on the roundup, the year in review. You and Eric both mentioned Nelson Peltz.
Oh my God, Nelson Peltz. He is my absolute hero. I can't stop reading about him.
Well, I got a lot to say about the man as well. Disney is, in case you guys missed it, Disney is currently facing a proxy fight, which is a situation where a group of shareholders joins forces to gather enough shareholder proxy votes to win a corporate vote. Tryon Fund Management firm, led by Nelson Peltz, not Peltz, has filed a formal proxy challenge against the company, claiming that Disney overpaid for the assets of 21st Century Fox and expressing doubt in the competency of the existing board. The investment firm had purchased an $800 million stake in the company in November in order to angle for a position for Peltz on Disney's board of directors. This is the first formal proxy fight in the Disney company's 100-year history. And they faced a similar situation in 2004 with Roy Disney leading a charge against Michael Eisner for falling park attendants and, blah, blah, blah. So that's happening. And, I looked at Peltz. I looked at his website. Did you know he had a website?
No.
Oh my goodness. So he built this whole website. It's called restorethemagic.com.
Oh yes, I follow it on Twitter.
Oh, okay, great. And it's a nice
Peltz.
Put together website. Is it Peltz? Did I misspell it with Peltz on my story?
Peltz.
Peltz. I misspelled it. Okay, Peltz. There you go. And they make a case, Tryon's case for change at Disney. Disney's financial performance has been disappointing post 21st Century Fox deal. And they talk about fiscal year 2018. They had $9.8 billion in free cash flow. Fiscal year 2022, it dropped 89% to $1.1 billion. Anyway, they go through the finances on this, and it's pretty it's interesting. So check it out if you ever want to know like why someone would be doing this passionate about getting on someone's board that a company that they're heavily invested in and what they can do to change things. He lays it out pretty good, man. And what he's trying to do and what he's not trying to do. He says he is not looking to replace Bob Iger, but he is trying to ensure successful CEO succession within 2 years. Not advocating for a breakup of Disney, but he's for reinvigorating the Disney flywheel. I'm sure that's a marketing term or whatever. Yeah, blah 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 blah. So it's fun. Check it out if you're ever interested. But apparently Disney has responded to Peltz and his where did that article go? Dee-dee-dee-dee. Where'd that article go, buddy? Come on, buddy. It's my own stupid
Well, some
article.
people
I
are
can't
saying
find it.
that because they replaced the chairman of the board, and some people were saying that was the answer to Peltz, was to start making moves on the board, make changes there to sort of, I don't know why, but that would sort of, I guess, neutralize him, but it hasn't. He's still going.
Oh, sure, of course. He's spending $100 million. Recently, Disney's board of directors has unanimously rejected activist investor Nelson Peltz's request to join the board this month, citing his lack of media industry expertise as the main reason for the rejection. However, it is worth noting that many of Disney's current board members also do not have media and entertainment experience.
Right.
Peltz's strong claim for a board seat is probably ensuring that succession planning happens in an organized and coherent way, which does not appear to be the primary argument he's making. Nevertheless, Disney's decision to reject Peltz's request for a board seat raises questions about the composition of the board and its ability to navigate the rapidly changing media and entertainment industry. According to a company filing, Disney decided not to offer Peltz a board seat because he did not suggest any specific strategic ideas and had minimal industry experience. Now, you look on his website and it's like, I guess there's nothing specific, but what are you going to do? Give everyone, it's like if you go to a job interview and they go, oh, you want to be a marketer? Give me 5 ideas and then we'll look at you and see if we want to hire you. Oh, thanks for the ideas, but we're not gonna hire you. And you just get free work at it. What do you know what I mean? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like this whole presentation up there too. It's a PDF. It's a whole thing, man. I mean, this guy's got it. He's got.
He's a billionaire. He
right.
knows how to make money.
Yeah, he knows how to make money. So that's what I guess what I don't understand. Like, he doesn't have any specific thing. The company stated, quote, among the drivers for such concern was the combination of Mr. Peltz's lack of media or technology industry experience, coupled with his repeated focus in his presentation on successful approaches from businesses like Heinz, Procter & Gamble, and DuPont, which have little in common with Disney. Sure. Yeah. But you sell a toothbrush, you sell a car. It's the same thing. Come on.
Well, wasn't Steve Jobs on the board of Disney?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, what do computers have to do with
yeah, right.
castles?
Peltz has minimal experience on media boards, though he did serve as director of MSG Networks from 2004 to 2015 and still serves as a Madison Square Garden director. But Disney's board is filled with directors whose prior experience has little to do with streaming services, legacy pay TV, theme parks, or films. The collective experience of Disney's board members is actually closer to businesses like Heinz and Procter & Gamble, which would put Peltz in good company. Only CEO Bob Iger, Amy Chang, and Carolyn Everson have some prior experience in media. Chang's experience is tangential to Disney's core businesses as global head of product at Google Ad Measurement. Everson just joined the board in September, which may be a sign that Disney's board, like you were saying, is also acknowledging its own relative lack of media understanding. So that seems to be like they're trying to head him off at the pass. Be like, oh, we don't have any media understanding on our board? Well, here, now we got this guy. So now you can't say that. But it's really, I don't know, it's odd. And I just thought it was pretty funny that Disney's like, yeah, he has no experience whatsoever. Meanwhile, he's a billionaire. You know what I mean?
Right, like he knows how to run a
more relevant experience than the rest of the board.
Right, and not for nothing, Bob Iger came from ABC. What is running a television station? He was in marketing at ABC. Like, he doesn't know how to run a theme park. It's completely different things.
Yeah.
But what you're mentioning, it's interesting. More and more people in the media and analysts are starting to come out in support of Peltz and saying, no, absolutely, he should be on the Disney board. This gal who's a columnist for the New Yorker spoke about this today, said Peltz should be on the board. There's another person. And then just recent, Jim Cramer is also, who's quite a name. So there's starting to become this groundswell of support for Peltz in the media. And I think that will be difficult for Disney to ignore. It'd be interesting to see if in their earnings call, any analysts ask about this or I mean, usually that sort of thing doesn't come up, but this is really gaining a lot of traction in the media.
I want to try
Not just on EarzUp.
I want to try to book him on the show. I'm going to invite him on the show. I would love. How much would you die if I got Nelson Peltz on the show?
I feel like that could be the nail in the coffin to his attempt at being on the board. They're like, and now you're going on a podcast like EarzUp. You're not joining the board.
They can't even spell ears properly. I mean, what are these people doing?
Yeah.
Come on.
They'll be like, you didn't say Peltz right.
Yeah. Oh, I'll go back and I'll delete.
Scrub that right out of there.
I'll delete every show if he wanted to come on. I'll sell him the network. That's what he needs. He needs a media arm.
I can't believe he hasn't tried to get on the EarzUp board.
I have to make a board.
Talk
first.
about malfeasance.
I know, right? Serp me. Anyway, that's what's going on. I thought it was pretty funny.
He made $100,000 a day, but that wasn't enough to make him stay. Well, speaking of Nelson Peltz,
yes,
one of the things I don't remember. You talked a lot about how he's pointing to succession planning as his big gripe with the company. But one of the other things that he talks about is over the top executive compensation practices. That's one of the things on he put out a chart. It was like 5 icons. Did you see Nelson Peltz's chart? It's like 5 icons, and one's like, and one is succession planning, over the top compensation, and then like 3 other things that he wants to change. Like this is like his 5-point plan. And I was like, oh, what a nice infographic.
Okay.
Well, it would appear Peltz is onto something when it comes to over the top compensation practices at Disney. The Wall Street Journal reported on one such example of what most would agree certainly is over the top compensation in their story this week about recently departed Jeff Morrell. I don't know if you remember Jeff Morrell, but he joined Disney back just a year ago, not even a year ago, January 2022, as the company's chief corporate affairs officer. But he ended up leaving just 4 months later. During his time at Disney, Morrell earned over $8 million in total compensation. So not just base pay, but bonuses and stock. Well, the Wall Street Journal
How do you get a bonus after 4 months?
Well, a good question.
God, dude, come on. Most people can't even get a raise in a year.
Yeah, including the Disney union. The cast members, they're still fighting for that dollar.
Yeah. Meanwhile, by the way, just to keep interrupting you, Target is increasing their minimum wage to $24 an hour.
Wow.
Right. But, the cast members of a multi-billion-dollar company, media conglomerate, have to argue for 18 in 5 years.
I wonder which company does more volume. Is Target bigger than Disney? I bet they're probably about the same size, actually.
I don't know. That's not my world. Anyway, go ahead. I wanted to just point that out.
Well, I don't know where I was, but you interrupted me, so I'm going to try my best.
I'm sorry, Jerry.
No, it's okay. He earned this $8 million in compensation. The Wall Street Journal said, let's do a little math. That's 70 weekdays that he was employed at the Walt Disney Company. How much does that come out to a day? And it turns out that averages at $119,000 a day for his tenure at the Walt Disney Company. When payouts associated with his termination, because of course he doesn't just get fired or leave, they have to give him more money.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for staying. When you factor in the payouts that are associated with his termination agreement, that number jumps to $176,000 a day for his 70 days with the company. Morrell's hasty exit from Disney came following weeks of unrest at the company, in which Disney was pitted against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis following a public relations implosion where Disney at first attempted to sidestep involvement in the controversy surrounding Florida's parental rights and education bill, which prohibits instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity for kindergartners to 3rd grade students. Disney then weighed in on the bill, and throughout the process, people across the political spectrum were alienated because they pissed off some people by staying neutral, and then and then they pissed off people by coming out and saying something. Now, here's the thing. This guy who they hired is the person who should be in charge of this. Part of his title was communications and government affairs. So that's literally at the crux of this controversy is communication and government relations, because it was a government bill. And so his job, they totally stepped in it. He screwed it up in the beginning. So here's what Disney ended up paying this guy $8 million, tarnishing their reputation with everyone. It's pretty tough to piss off literally everyone, but they somehow managed to do it. I was thinking when I was writing this, I'm like, I say this a lot about Disney, like all they had to do was nothing and they would have been better off. Yeah. And they would have still angered their employees who didn't like that bill if they had done nothing, because that was what their initial reaction was, right? They said, we're going to stay out of it, we're going to keep our mouths shut. Right. So they would have angered people. But at least they would have only angered 50%. Whereas this guy who is supposed to be an expert, an $8 million worth of expert, totally made it worse than if they had done nothing. And so they not only spent $8 million on this guy, they spent $8 million to hurt their reputation. They had to buy out his mansion. So he had this $4.5 million mansion in Pasadena, California. Part of his exit was that they had to deal with that. So they bought the house from him, and now they're just going to figure it out. So that by my estimation, they're already $12 million in the hole, not counting the what happened to their reputation. So I don't know. Was it worth it, guys?
Yeah. Well, and to add
maybe
to that,
give that $8 million to the people who are running Dumbo.
I know, right? Yeah. I also read that they had to pay $500,000 to move his family out, and then another $500,000 to move them back.
Because he
bought his mansion from him.
So
God,
this is an interesting thing, because this guy does seem to have some pretty good credentials. He worked at the Pentagon for both Obama and Bush. Mm-hmm. He then went to British Petroleum, BP. Now, he joined BP just after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010. So that was at the end of 2010. He joins BP in 2011 as to deal with this sort of thing, communications. So he's at BP during an oil spill, and he figured that out, but he can't figure out public relations at a company like Disney. And so then I got to thinking, I'm like, okay, well, this guy he worked at the Pentagon. This guy deals with crises. So was this really his fault? Did he give advice that just wasn't heeded by Bob Chapek? No, I don't know. And then 4 months later, he leaves and says, this isn't a right fit. I don't know that this is what happened, but I would be willing to put money on the fact that he came to the company, gave them advice. It was clearly ignored, and was whatever they did was implemented really poorly, all clearly by Chapek, because Chapek was out there making statements. And then he probably said, well, what the hell am I doing here? I'm getting paid a lot, but they're not listening to me. This isn't good for my and this looks terrible on my resume. I'm out. I think that's what happened. And then the board said, he's not even listening to this guy who we pay $8 million to. Now you're gone, Chapek.
That seems reasonable. That seems like a reasonable thing, especially because, the parallels are hard, but, Iger was staying on as a consultant for $10 million. And he never once sought out his advice. Chapek does sort of seem like a person to just sort of go his own way, which I think is fine. But if your company's paying these people for advice, you got to at least, this is what we're paying for. Let me just run this by you. But, but then again, also, that's what Chapek was getting paid to do, is you can take advice. You don't have to follow it. Just because you're given advice doesn't mean you have to follow it.
Right. But then if you don't follow it and it all goes to hell, you have to take responsibility for it, which he clearly has. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. He's out of here. But I think the larger issue is, why was this compensation package even produced in the first place? Why does a company like Disney need to sweeten the pot so much and give these people so much to come over? And it's, but then they're fighting and arguing with their unions for paying less than $20 an hour to their core workers who make all this possible in the first place.
Right.
I don't like it.
Well, these people are just so bare, like their heads are so, they think that that's what they need to do. They think it probably looks good to have this guy on your staff.
Yeah, meanwhile, no one cares.
No one cares.
No one
And it
gives a
didn't, it clearly
crap.
didn't work out. I mean,
Right.
for a number of years, they didn't hire people out from other companies with big resumes and names for a ton of money. Bob Gurr, all these guys who ran Imagineering and ran the company, they were homegrown. They started
Right.
selling cotton candy, and then they became you look at Jack Lindquist. He started in the park, and he worked up and became president. Those are the people who ran the company. They didn't need these people with these crazy resumes.
And they still don't.
Still don't.
All right, let's take a quick break, Jer. Okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll come right back, everybody. Hang on, it's Ears Up.
In depth, reporting Disney news that's probably not made up.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for chilling out with us. Jeremy, you know about Disney's penchant, that's how you pronounce it, for rides that like to break down, especially lately. It feels like the last year we've seen nothing but news stories and blog stories about rides just breaking down.
Well, and they seem to be, you get this a lot for Rise of the Resistance.
Well, that's funny because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
And apparently it breaks down a lot more often than most people actually realize.
Yeah.
Disneyland's Rise of the Resistance, widely considered to be one of the world's best rides, has seen a significant increase in downtime due to its own immense popularity. According to data released by Disney, ride stoppages on Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland rose from an average of 80 minutes a day in 2001 to 122 minutes a day in 2022.
That's so close for over 2 hours a day.
Yeah. A company called Thrill Data, who analyzes metrics in rides such as Rise of the Resistance, shows that downtime on Disneyland's $450 million Star Wars trackless dark ride has increased by 52% from 2021 to 2022. The data was compared from May to December 21 with the same period in 22. The pandemic closed Disneyland and DCA for over a year, of course, with the theme parks reopening late April 2021. Crowd sizes were restricted during the first few months when California theme parks initially reopened, and the Thrill Data ride stoppage data reflects the positive impact of lighter crowds on Rise of the Resistance downtime. However, as more and more visitors returned to the park, the ride's downtime increased. It's not surprising to most Disneyland fans that Rise has downtime issues. The widely popular ride breaks down frequently, which can disappoint riders and wreak havoc on wait times, especially when Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes swell after the ride reopens. Depending on the cause of the downtime, resetting the ride can take more time than other Disneyland attractions. It's so massive, it's so complicated. It takes a while. Of course, nobody really knows why a ride is closed down. Stoppages can result from bad weather, ride breakdowns, maintenance needs. If you drop your cell phone or your hat or try to get off the ride to retrieve these items, you'll stop the ride and, they'll reset. And I always say, like, Indiana Jones takes 20 minutes to reset. I can imagine rides take longer. Yeah. Anyway, that's basically it. That's the story, is that it is down 122 minutes a day last year. A day, per day, every day.
It's a lot. And sometimes I just have to wonder, like, when you're designing the ride, are they also, there's the blue sky and there's what the Imagineers come up with, which is probably crazy, or what they would have come up with, it probably not anymore. But then there has to be someone who says, okay, well, how workable is this? Because we are in the business of getting people through this thing. And if it's not doing that, it doesn't matter how great this ride is if it's closed.
Right.
So
Right.
it has to, at least, it can be amazing, but it should also be practical. And where is that? Like, or if you're going to develop a ride like this, can then you also develop a high capacity Omnimover ride so that people have something else to do when this is shut down and you are managing crowds? Because that doesn't seem to happen.
Like the People Mover?
Like the People Mover, that would be great. Why don't they do that? What an idea.
The Wall Street Journal reported that the identical rides of the Resistance rides at Disneyland and Florida cost $450 million each. Behind the scenes, the state-of-the-art ride is powered by 5 million lines of code running show systems and special effects on 50 computers. It's a very complex thing. And, you know, part of the reason it was delayed in opening in Disneyland was because it was so complicated they couldn't get the timing right. Remember when it was like starting to reopen? Oh, it's going to be reopened in, I don't know, April, and it was pushed back and kept getting pushed back, and it was delayed and delayed. That's why. Everything was done, but they couldn't figure it out. The technology was so huge, they couldn't get it to work properly, like consistently enough without going down.
Yeah,
You know, they put a Band-Aid on it, sounds like, because it's not fixed, and it sounds like it's getting worse.
Yeah, they can't seem to maintain it. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I've never been on it.
Never been on. Well,
and I don't care
either. I want to ride at least once because it does seem it's a very wholly unique ride, which I think is cool. I don't care about the storyline, but I want to see everything and like experience it. And then like, I'll never go on the Millennium Falcon ride again or whatever. I did that once and it's like, okay, I'm in a video game. That's cool. I don't care about that, you know, but I'll go on the Snow White 3 times because there's something about practical effects. There's something about practicality in that regard that I like. There's more artistry, not more artistry. I shouldn't say that. It's a different level of artistry when it's hands-on, you know what I mean? But if you just run code through a screen, sure, it takes a lot of work to do that, but it's not as much. It's different for me, I guess.
Right.
I shouldn't. I'm trying to like bag on graphic artists and stuff, and that's not what I mean to do because I love video games. But yeah, you know what I mean. I don't know. I'd rather go for a classic dark ride than a Millennium Falcon ride.
Well, you can. What you just said sort of nails it, right? You can play a video game at home. Yeah. I don't want to go to a theme, but I can't sit in a dark ride. Like that is truly something. When you go through Snow White, even though it's 70 years old. You're seeing things you never see. You're seeing effects you don't see in your day-to-day life. But we all have access to graphics and computers and even great monitors that surround us. And we can do all that stuff at home. So then when you just do it there, it's like, okay, well, thanks for showing me this television screen.
Yeah. And I feel like it's sort of that same vein of the Star Wars hotel where you'll get blown away when you go, but is the repeatability there? And I know for the Millennium Falcon ride, it is because it's a low cost for entry, right? It's a low overhead, low risk for you. You just stand in line for an hour and a half and then you can do the thing. And it's not like $50 or $5,000 to go to the hotel for 2 days and whatever. Very different. But I think also, I wonder if that level of impression, how impressed you are the first time you do it, it's not going to be there again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the repeatability of the hotel is a lot lower than the Millennium Falcon. But even then, I know people who've been on 5-6 times, like, we just go on it now because it's something to do. Like, you know what I mean? Sort of like a blah. And I don't
trying to kill time before I get out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that point. I was like, I guess, I don't know. Let's do Splash Mountain, I guess, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, I did the Splashathon a couple weeks ago. You can ride Splash Mountain and look at different things every time because there's so much happening on those sets. And same with Snow White, same with all these rides that are physical. You see different gags and different tricks, and it's almost fun to see how they did the gags.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, like when she turns around and now she's the witch, and like, okay, oh, it's a mirror. Like, I don't know. Like, I could watch that 100 times because I'm like, wow, that's so cool how they did that, even though I obviously see what they did.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's the whole basis for starting this show in the first place. This whole network. I love Disneyland, and I love figuring out how things work, and it's that fascination with how the park works. That's what got me interested in doing a show. I know how Millennium Falcon works. It's a friggin' computer screen. Right. I don't know. To me, there's no imagination. And RGH is like, well, I don't have a Millennium Falcon cockpit at home. Right. I know. And that's what I'm saying. But you do it once and you experience it. Do you need to do it multiple times? And do you get the same pleasure out of it? I doubt it. I doubt it.
RGH basically does have a Millennium Falcon. Don't even let him lie to you. First of all, I've seen him in that screen. He's in that chair. The wings on the chair come up behind his head. Like, that's not the chair. Okay, that's not the dining chair I'm sitting in right now. Okay, so
Right.
RGH, we know you've got it all tricked out in there, and it might as well be the Millennium Falcon.
That's
Probably
right.
nicer than the Millennium Falcon.
Well, you know what's definitely nicer than the Millennium Falcon is our friendly friends at the 21st Amendment Brewery welcome the cooler weather with the release of 2 great tasting beers, a brand new IPA and a perennial holiday favorite, which I should check with Sully because I'm not entirely sure you can still get Fireside Chat, but if you can, actually last week I think someone was saying they can still get it at the store, so check it out. Brew Free or Die Cold IPA is a new, fresh style of IPA, which I have already drank in all of mine. I need to buy some more. It showcases a bright, bold, hop-forward flavor and aroma. They took the aggressive hop notes you want in a West Coast IPA and wrapped it around an American lager for maximum drinkability. Chinook, Centennial, and Mosaic hops do the heavy lifting, and at 6.5% ABV, it's Sully's new favorite beer, and it should be yours too. And it's just after the holiday season, and if you're lucky enough, you can still find their Winter Spiced Ale Fireside Chat. This winter warmer has a deep toffee color, sweet candy malt notes with soft spices, and a cocoa finish. At 7.9% ABV, it will surely make your holiday season, or actually your post-holiday season, a bit more festive and warm. Be sure to ask for the 21st Amendment wherever great beer is sold, or you can check out 21stamendment.com. It's actually 21st-amendment.com. Go to the Find Some page, and you can check out wherever you can find 21st Amendment beers near you. If you're traveling, doing whatever, you want to find some good beer that's probably better than what you can get at the store. Check out the Find Some page and see where you can go grab some 2-1A.
Well, I hope they keep that going for a couple more weeks because I'll be at the 21st Amendment in San Leandro on Wednesday, February 8th until 8 p.m. when they close.
You're staying until
And I
8
want that.
p.m. When
Well,
are
they're
you gonna
open
when are you gonna be there?
Huh?
Like, what time are you getting there? We got to figure that out.
Probably 4.
You would pick the absolute worst time to be driving in Bay Area traffic. 4 o'clock.
To San Leandro. But I'm
Yeah.
only coming from Oakland.
No, I know you are. For everybody else who's going to meet you there, that's the worst time.
Okay, so come at 6. Okay, don't come. I don't care. I'm going to go there and drink beers anyway.
Well, we'll be there. We'll be there. Then don't come. It's fine.
Look, they're open between 3 and 8. So I don't have that much flexibility.
Whatever. It's fine, Jeremy. Do you have a last story?
No,
You don't.
2 each.
I know. Oh, did we? Oh, you know what? This is the other thing I was going to read real fast. Excuse me. You were talking about, what's his face that was only here for 70 days and got paid $8 million. Well,
Yeah.
It's been revealed how much Bob Chapek got cut. His big check, his paycheck, was after he got fired.
Oh, wow. What was it?
A new report reveals that Chapek received a payout of $24.18 million last year and was set to, quote, receive a severance package worth more than $20 million.
Great.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to work again.
No, ever again. And this article says those figures will likely spin heads as Chapek will be seen as getting a major payday for essentially failing at his job. Which I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, that's basically it. You can go on and on about the backstory and all that kind of stuff, but the bottom line is this man got almost $45 million for 3 years of work and being a scapegoat. That's all.
Hey, I feel like any one of us could have done the job equally as good or if not better. And tell you what, I would have done it for half that price.
Oh, I would do it for a dollar less than half. There you go. What do you think of that?
Oh no, we're getting into a reverse bidding war.
Yeah. I'll do it for a cool 1 million. That's fine. Yeah, you know what? I would love to know how these people get on boards and do stuff like that. It seems like the easiest job. Easy work. You sit there and you go, well, what do the numbers say? Let's do it.
Yeah,
I don't know, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't matter if you fail or succeed, because at that point, you're still getting the money. You're still getting the money no matter what. But like people at our level of, either income or, level in society or education, or even, younger people than us, shockingly enough, they can't afford to fail like that. I mean, everyone can fail. You learn from failure or whatever, but there's no guarantee that you're still going to get your salary. There's no, so it's like the older you get and the richer you get, the easier it is for you just to fail and you still get rewarded. It should be the reverse. It should,
you're right.
You should be encouraging people to try new stuff, but but you need a job to do that, and you need a thing, and it's a whole, I don't know. I feel like they should be rewarding younger people with these severance packages. Younger people coming in to inject some fresh ideas and everything. Instead of like vetting them through, well, you have to be a chairman of this, and you have to go through this, and you have to do this. I don't know, man. I also don't really know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about either.
You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm just at this point. I'm just running out the clock.
Thanks everybody for joining us again on another episode of Ears Up in Depth. I appreciate it very much. Check out some new merch we have over on Etsy.com/shop/coveyears, which I think I'm just going to rebrand the Etsy shop, and I'm just going to make the plunge and shift it over to the Ears Up name. We'll still sell covers, don't get me wrong, but I think it should be a little more easy to find. But anyway, got new merch
by
there.
Ears Up.
There you go. We got new merch over there. Don't forget to check out Puny Pod. That is anywhere you can find great podcasts as part of the Ears Up podcast network, of course. And we're going to be back, I think, in a couple of shows. We're going to have the great Tom Amin back on.
Oh, he's got a new album coming out, I see.
He has a new album coming out. And so he sent me an email. He's like, hey, you want me on the show? I'm like, yeah. I go, Tom, you don't even have to ask. You just tell me when you're going to be on the call, and I'll be there. There's no, I'm not going to say no to Tom. Get out of here. Get out of here, Tom. And he left. I never seen him again.
Well,
all right, everyone. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you.